Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sarah's Writing Spot. I hope you are having a great day. It is a great day to write, and I can't wait to share with you 8 best ways to teach writing in elementary school. So let's get started. So I primarily teach 2nd through 5th grade students, but these tips I'm going to share with you today, I really believe can be used with kids of any age. So we're going to start first with teaching writing to beginners. So remember, 2nd, 3rd graders, they're beginning to learn how to write sentences and one paragraph. If you have 4th and 5th graders, they're beginning to learn how to write an essay for the first time. That's a really big deal. So let's take a look at 3 tips that can help our beginning learners. Tip number 1, encourage a growth mindset. Again, remember, they're just learning how to do these things. When you first started riding a bike, I'm sure you didn't get on the bike and ride it perfectly the first time. It took years of practice. You fell off, you skinned your knees, you went too fast. The same thing is going to happen with writing, and we need to let them know that. I think that's why a lot of students have writer's block. They just can't put anything down because they're afraid that it has to be perfect the first time. It's much different from math, where 3 times 3 is always going to be 6. A lot of times students feel that the first sentence they write, that everything has to look perfect. So we've got to let them know that they're going to make mistakes. There's going to be revising. Even the best professional writers in the world, they go back and revise. They have messy drafts. That's just part of the process. And so that's really important to let kids know that. Tip number 2, this is one of the biggest things that I learned as a teacher, and I use it every single day. Praise the glows, note the grows. So what I do when I'm teaching writing is when a student shares a piece with me, I really focus hard on praising everything good about that piece. It raises confidence and it shows that student what to do next time. They'll do it again next time if they get a lot of praise for it. Even if you have a sentence that is rife with mistakes and errors, try to find 1 or 2 things about that sentence that looks great. Maybe it's just a capital letter at the beginning. Maybe they just put a period at the end. Maybe they spelled a word right that was really difficult. Look for something that you can praise. And then take note, whether mentally or written down, take note of all the errors that you saw in that writing or heard in that writing as your student was sharing. Take note and then use those notes to plan the next lesson. The thing with writing is a student can have a paragraph or an essay, and it can have tons of mistakes. We do not, as teachers, want to point out every single little mistake. The child's never going to want to write again if we do that. And think about when you were riding a bike again for the first time. If someone pointed out every single thing you were doing wrong on that bike, you would never want to get on that bike again. So we have to accept that kids are going to make a lot of mistakes. I'm not saying ignore them. I'm just saying note them off to the side. Note them mentally. If you have a class, mentally note what are most kids making mistakes on, and then do that lesson next time. It's really effective at helping really insecure kids who don't like to write or reluctant writers. We've just got to build up their confidence. And the way to do that is to tell them all the things they're doing right. Tip number 3 is model, model, model. Again, your students are not going to know what good writing looks like unless you show them first. So if it's younger students, maybe you're writing a nice, perfect sentence on the board and you're talking about what makes it perfect. It has a capital letter, it has a period on the end, the words are spelled correctly. Maybe you can model sticking in adjectives or putting in a sound and modeling whatever you're teaching that day. Same thing with essay writing. If you're teaching 4th and 5th graders, most likely those kids have never even seen an essay before. So it's so important to show them plenty of examples and model along with them. Even that means if you're with the older students, 4th and 5th grade, even that means if you're writing an essay along with them. If you're teaching how to do an introduction, you write an introduction on the board or type it on your computer and display it. They can see you write it, struggle through it if you have trouble, think aloud as you're writing, and then they can see what that process looks like, and then they can take a turn. So please do not miss this step. It is one of the most important things to do. All right, now we're going to break it into different grade levels. So if you are switching grade levels from one year to the next, or if you are a homeschooling parent and you have students of different ages, I'm going to talk about what's expected for a 2nd and 3rd grader and what is expected for a 4th and 5th grader. So first of all, tip number 4, when you are teaching 2nd and 3rd graders, most curriculums break their assessment down into 3 parts. Most rubrics are going to analyze the composition, the written expression, and the mechanics. So as a 2nd and 3rd grader, composing is generally 1 paragraph that's about 5 to 10 sentences long, more 5 sentences if you're 2nd grade, probably up to 10 sentences if you're 3rd grade. You have to have a topic sentence, lots of good juicy details in the middle, and a closing sentence. So those are the main part of composing. Now for written expression, this age group should be working on starting with different words at the beginning of their sentence. That's called sentence variety. Using different types of sentences, throwing in a question sentence, throwing in an exclamation sentence, using some colorful adjectives in your writing, making it interesting. Now for mechanics, that's generally the basics, like did your student indent? Do they have capital letters at the beginning of every sentence, periods and punctuation at the end? Spelling usually is generally to age appropriate spelling. You really wouldn't take off for a vocabulary word that was above grade level. So those are generally the expectations for 2nd and 3rd graders. Now, tip number 5, this is for the 4th and 5th graders. So we're going to build on what they were learning as 2nd and 3rd graders. So for composing, usually there is a big jump here. We jump from 1 paragraph to the 5-paragraph essay. That's a big jump, but it can be done. It can be done. It's not as hard as you think. Narrative writing is a little different. So narrative probably would start going to multiple pages for a story at this age. Now for written expression, you are using more figurative language, similes, metaphors, hyperbole. You are using more adjectives in your writing, more adverbs in your writing. You are using more complex transition words in your narrative writing and your paragraph writing. And then in mechanics, it's generally the same thing with mechanics. Really the only differences are now you're indenting each paragraph. So you've got paragraphs now. And also now that your narrative writing is longer, you're using dialogue. Dialogue punctuation can get tricky. And you're continuing to underline your title and pay attention to capitalization and punctuation, all of those types of things. So it just gets a little bit more complex. Now, these are the types of writing for all of those age groups, 2nd through 5th grade. So most curriculums cover all 4 of these types of writing. So you've got descriptive writing, which is where you're using all of your senses, the senses of sight, smell, taste, sound, touch, those 5 senses. Persuasive writing is when you have a claim, you believe something and you're trying to convince others to believe the same way you do. You have expository, which is the same as informational, research, fact-based. Those 3 are, if you are an older student, those are usually in the 5-paragraph format. As a 2nd, 3rd grader, that would be like 1 paragraph. Narrative is a whole separate way of writing. So as a younger student, that might be maybe three, 2 or 3 pages of a few sentences per page with a picture. For older students, narrative writing gets longer. So it is that story writing. You've got setting, characters, problem, solution. So that's a much different type of writing. But most curriculums cover all 4 of these throughout the year. Okay, so if you find yourself teaching virtually, so teaching writing virtually is possible. I added this in here just because that became a big thing a few years ago, and I don't want you to be scared of it if you find yourself having to teach virtually again, or some of you may end up tutoring virtually. I tutor virtually and work with kids virtually every single day. I also teach students in person. I do both. But I felt that it's completely doable. There's just a few tips I'm going to share that really makes it work. I always screen share. Actually, I'm screen sharing most of my lesson. So you have to have a document camera or it's the pits. So you've got to have a document camera so you were showing your journal, showing that modeling, and the kids can see it right there on the big screen the whole time. If you're just sitting there, just you staring at the screen, they aren't going to learn anything. They need to see you modeling the entire time. So make sure you've got a document camera with you so they can see what you do, and then they can take a turn and do it themselves. Tip number 7, share writing aloud. So if you are teaching virtually, make sure that you always give kiddos a chance to share what they've written. That way you can hear what they've written, kind of know if they're on the right track, gives them a chance to share with others. Tip number 8, if you have older students by 4th and 5th grade, I love, love, love Google Docs because you can be on there together with them. You can give feedback. You can see exactly the type of writing they're doing. And it's it's an excellent way to communicate. Okay, teaching writing is absolutely rewarding and worth it. Your students need you. Writing is so hard for some students to learn. Like I said, they really struggle with perfection. Many of them do. And they need you to encourage them and show them that it's okay. Even us grown-ups struggle and we don't get it right the first time. Writing gets messy. There's a process to it. It's never going to be perfect the first time. And they need us to remind them of that and remind them that it's going to be okay. They're only going to get better. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you learned something new that you can take back to the classroom or help your child with at home. Don't forget, I do have a Teachers Pay Teachers store. So if you would like any examples of essays, you can go on and check it out there. I do also have full writing units for 2nd and 3rd graders to teach a persuasive paragraph, descriptive paragraph, and so on. So if you want the lesson plans written for you, again, go over there, check it out, see what I've got. I hope you all have a fantastic day. And of course, happy writing.